Hello, thank you for joining with me. We are in A Course in Miracles workbook for students, part 2 of the workbook, lesson 259. Let me remember that there is no sin. Sin is the only thought that makes the goal of God seem unobtainable. What else could bind us to the obvious and make the strange and distorted seem more clear? What else but sin engenders our attacks? What else but sin could be the source of guilt, demanding suffering and punishment? And what but guilt could be the source of fear, obscuring God's creation, giving love the attributes of fear and attack? Father, I would not be insane today. I would not be afraid of love, nor seek for refuge in its opposite. For love can have no opposite. You are the source of everything that is, and everything that is remains with you, and you with it. Let me remember that there is no sin. And for those of you who grew up, sin was, I was going to hell when I was 13. So this was a big change for me. And I will go ahead and read the commentary by Alan Watson and Robert Perry. Robert Perry did not add any practice instructions. However, I would like to revert back to the practice instructions for 247. And as you begin your day, spend a moment going through the day you normally have, trying to see how you are usually serving contradictory goals. See yourself reaching after the goals of the world, then at other times reaching after the goal of God. Try to get in touch with how divided this makes you feel, and how it makes you unsure of who you are, and how it makes you feel that you will never reach either set of goals, the earthly or the heavenly, simply because you are giving each set only half of your energy. Then spend another moment imagining what your day would be like if you only pursued the goal of God today. If you unified your thoughts and actions behind that single goal, and therefore achieved only what God would have you do today. Ask yourself how that day would feel, and then dedicate today to being that day. I just love that so much. I want every day to be like that. Commentary. The concept of sin, and this is by Alan Watson, the concept of sin includes the idea that what I have done or thought or said has in some way irretrievably altered what I am. We think of sin not as a smudge of dirt on a clean surface, but as some kind of dry rot that has settled into the fabric of our being. When Jesus says there is no sin, he is saying that our ideas are wrong. Nothing we have done has altered what we are in any way. The surface is uncorrupted and can simply be wiped clean. We are created with an amazing psychic layer of Scotchgard protectant. Underneath the layers of grime, we are still the Holy Son of God. If we think of sin as we normally do, the goal of God seems unattainable. If we see it as Jesus does, we can understand that the goal is already attained. It is not something to attain, it is something to celebrate. When we see sin in another as dry rot, we feel justified in our attacks. When we see it as surface smudges, our love responds with the desire to wipe the surface of our brother's mind to reveal the beauty hiding in the dirt. We are all aware of some self-destructive habit patterns. All of them come from the sense that we deserve punishment and suffering because we are guilty. We are unworthy of health, happiness, and uninterrupted joy. We think the evil is in us rather than on us. When we fully accept the truth of our own innocence, we have opened the way to complete abundance and health. The universe is set up to support us. Good is continually flowing our way, but we constantly block it off unconsciously because unconsciously we don't think that we deserve it. All of this comes from the belief in sin. Sin makes us afraid of love. To be afraid of love is insane. But then sin is insanity. If God is the source of everything that is, then all there must be is love. There can be no opposite, no fear, no sin. To remember that there is no sin is to accept our perfect innocence and the perfect innocence of all that is. And all the evidence we perceive that seems to prove otherwise is an illusion made up by our own minds. And that there is the Course in a nutshell. All of it. Okay, please close your eyes and we will do a meditation for lesson 259. Father, let me remember that there is no sin. I would not be insane today. I would not be afraid of love, nor seek for refuge in its opposite. For love can have no opposite. You are the source of everything that is. And everything that is remains with you, and you with it. Let me remember that there is no sin. Thank you so much for joining with me in that meditation. Now we will turn to section 4, What is Sin? Paragraph 5, sentences 1 through 4. If you would please read this section or listen to my YouTube video, What is Sin, in its entirety today and tomorrow until we finish up this section. How long, O Son of God, will you maintain the game of sin? Shall we not put away these sharp-edged toys? How soon will you be ready to come home? Perhaps today? And now I will read the commentary by Alan Watson. How long, we are asked, will we maintain this childish game of sin? That is all it is, a foolish game, not an awful, terrible thing, just immature minds playing with sharp-edged children's toys. I think it is no coincidence that in the famous biblical chapter on love, 1 Corinthians 13, the Apostle Paul speaks of how, when we are children, we speak as children and act as children, but when we are grown, we put away childish things. That is what the lesson is asking us to do. It is asking us to grow up. Sin is a sharp-edged, childish thing we have been playing with for eons. It is time for us to lay it aside and to assume our mature role as extensions of God's love. It is time for us to put away these toys, time to lay aside the whole concept of sin and guilt, the idea that we can do and have done something that immutably changes our nature, something that merits everlasting condemnation and punishment. It is time to look around us and to realize that nothing, absolutely nothing, falls into this class. Sin as a class or category of human behavior simply does not exist. There are no sins, only mistakes. Nothing is beyond correction. Nothing bans us from God's love. Nothing takes away our eternal inheritance, and nothing can separate us from the love of God. How soon will you be ready to come home? Perhaps today? We have left home. We have run away because we believed we were evil and had done something unforgivable. But nothing is unforgivable. It is only our own belief in sin and guilt that keeps us here, homeless. Home is still waiting for us. Like the son in the parable of the prodigal, we sit in our pigsty laminating our loss, while the father watches at the end of the road asking, "How soon will you be ready to come home? I'm here. I still love you. I'm waiting for you." Today, now, in this holy instant, let us be still a moment and go home. Thank you so much for joining with me in lesson 259. Let me remember that there is no sin. I love you. Thank you.